To many old-school Transformers fans, the original Generation 1 cartoon, comics, and toy line is the end-all be-all to Transformers. But the cartoon ended in 1987 with reruns in 1988. The toy line ended in 1990 here in the US, and the comics finished in the spring of 1991. I remember going to the toy stores looking for Transformers toys back when I was a kid and finding out it was all over. But in 1992, they tried to revive the brand with Generation 2. The toy line itself was kind of a hit and miss, as it had a mix of G1 toys in extreme 90s neon colors, along with many new characters as well. In 1993, episodes of the original cartoon were aired, rebranded with the cybernetic Space Cube, while the comic book ran for a mere 12 issues. By 1995, lagging sales brought Generation 2 to a screeching halt. We could call G2 in some ways a disaster, but it paved the way for a series that reignited the franchise with primal rage. Of course, I'm talking about
Beast Wars!
I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one, or purchase some merch on my Spring store today. Following the cancellation of G2, Hasbro handed the reins of the Transformers brand to their Kenner division. Drastically changing Transformers as a whole, Kenner reworked the now famous Robots in Disguise with Beast Wars.
In the beginning came the beasts, but nature lies, they're robots in disguise.
Gone were the cars, trucks, and airplanes in favor of animals, insects, and dinosaurs. Under the Skin revealed a robot within. To go along with this, the faction of the heroic Autobots became the Maximals, while the evil Decepticons were now the Predacons, taking the same name as a combiner team back in G1. The initial story, told within the toys' bios, and the packed-in tie-in comic books, imagine the Autobots and Decepticons, including Optimus Prime and Megatron, being biogenetically engineered to transform into Maximals and Predacons doing battle on present-day Earth. Instead of taking names from their personalities as seen in G1, most of the Maximals and Predacons took their names from their beast modes such as Cheetor, Rat Trap, Tarantulas, and Waspinator. Sold in a 2-pack, Optimus Prime, now RodimusPrimal, transformed into a bat, while Megatron transformed into an alligator. Since Kenner was also making Batman figures at the time, they based Primal's robot mode on the Caped Crusader himself. The second release for Primal and Megatron were larger figures, each sold separately, respectively transforming into a gorilla and a T-Rex. Greenlit at the same time was an animated series which took a major departure from the toy line's first concepts. First airing on April 22, 1996, a 2-day, 2-part preview first aired, and it became the standard canon for Beast Wars as a whole. Instead of being animated with hand drawings like the original Transformers cartoon,
Hey! That's a no paint job!
Beast Wars was CG animated by the studio Mainframe Entertainment, who were already producing the first CG animated show, Reboot. The rest of the first season would air beginning in September of that year. On a side note, even though the show was produced in Canada, their TV censors forbid programming marketed to kids to have the word war in the title. And so, for their broadcast, the show ran with the title. The story begins when the Maximal ship, the Axelon, is in pursuit of a Predacon vessel, the Dark Side, in space through a time warp. Their battle causes both ships to crash on a prehistoric world. They discover that the planet is full of energon, primary fuel source for Cybertronians.
This stuff's the greatest!
However, there is so much energon that the radiation will overload their circuits. In order to survive, they take on the form of organic animals to protect themselves. And so, the battle begins. The show was certainly different, and many fans either have a love or hate relationship with it. For myself, I remember seeing it at first and hating it. I couldn't see Optimus Prime as a gorilla. Like many fans at the time, I would say things like truck, not monkey. I wanted the classic Transformers that I grew up with brought back. However, I still tried to give the show a chance and took it as a reimagining of the Transformers. First, I thought it was cool to have a Velociraptor and a T-Rex in the show, since Jurassic Park had come out 3 years prior and was still really popular at the time. Like Reboot and Pixar's Toy Story, the animation was state-of-the-art for the time, even though we now think of it as horribly dated. Despite this, what really made the show work was the excellent writing delivered by talented voice actors such as Gary Chalk, Scott McNeil, David Kaye, and Venus Terzo.
Why do you always talk to yourself?
I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation.
From Rat Trap's pessimism,
"We're all gonna die,"
Megatron's gloating,
A treacherous, underhanded sneak attack. Oh, I like you, pussycat. Yes.
or Dinobot's struggle to find his place, every character was given time to shine.
Thanks anyway, but I'll leave that sort of thing to you. I'd rather just tag along behind and smell the flowers.
Because of the limitations of computer animation, creating character models limited the number of characters that could appear on the show.
The Maximals begin with their team of 4: Optimus Primal, Cheetor, Rat Trap, and Rhinox. The Predacons begin with a team of 6: Megatron, Scorponok, Pterosaur, Waspinator, Tarantulas, and Dinobot. However, because of his sense of honor, Dinobot very quickly joined the Maximals, bringing both factions to an even number of 5. A creative backdoor placed most of the Maximals in stasis pods that orbited the planet, which would be introduced as new characters in the episodes that followed. The Maximals gained both Tigertron and Airraiser.
She stoops to conquer.
However, the Predacons managed to reprogram 2 of the Maximal pods, introducing Black Arachnia and Inferno to the Predacon ranks.
You will burn, Maximal!
The show's story editor, Larry DiTilio, already made famous for his work on He-Man and co-creating She-Ra, along with his fellow He-Man writer, Bob Forward, built the world of Beast Wars with no prior knowledge of Transformers in the past. However, they wanted to respect what came before, even adding a line in the first episode of the show.
Remember the Great War, Rat Trap. If the Predacons get enough energon, they'll start it again. We can't let that happen.
Hoping to get a pulse on the Transformers fandom, the writers participated regularly in communicating with fans. This even included a poster on alt.toys.transformers by the name of Ben Yee, who went by the username of Wonko the Sane.
Wacko? No! Wonko the Sane!
It was because of this that eventually Beast Wars would tie itself as a sequel to G1. This included many references to the Great War, to Unicron, to even bringing in Starscream's ghost in the Season 1 episode, Possession. The details for that is a discussion for another day. Ben Yee is currently the first fan to actually get his name in the episode credits as a consultant, which is pretty cool. I will admit that I did not watch the rest of Season 1 as it aired initially, as many other franchises and teenager-related things had my attention. However, Cartoon Network, when it still aired cartoons, aired the final 5 episodes of Season 2 in a special Toonami event. In the 3-part season finale, The Agenda, the original G1 Ravage made a guest appearance in the show.
Decepticons forever!
And we learned that the Beast Wars Megatron's motives were to follow G1 Megatron's orders to kill Optimus Prime
Before the Autobots and Decepticons awoke in 1984.
It was at this point that I not only liked Beast Wars, I loved it. Making the connection to G1 in such an epic manner was brilliant. It allowed the older fans to feel connected while still being fresh for new viewers. It really is something lost in today's world of the Transformers.
Diecast construction! It's a lost art.
From there, I set my VCR every morning before school to record and watch the entire series, rewatching all of Season 1 and 2 multiple times until Season 3 finally aired. I also first joined many of the message boards to talk with other fans. Since I was already a big Rodimus Prime fan, and the leader of the Maximals was Optimus Primal,
I took on the name RodimusPrimal.
after the pilot episode, the rest of Beast Wars Season 1 is much more episodic in nature. This allowed more of the area of character development over the course of 26 episodes, all the while giving you plot points leading to the Season 1 finale. Season 2 is much tighter, with a narrative covering 13 episodes. The second season begins in the aftermath of the destruction of an alien weapon.
The transwarp explosion caused a quantum surge wave that mutated many of the Maximals and Predacons into transmetals.
The results allowed them to alter their beast modes into a third vehicle-like mode, making it easier for them to get around. The show then introduced the Fusors, the Maximal Silverbolt,
Yes, pure, strong, and fast.
and the Predacon Quickstrike, whose beast modes were the fusion of two different types of animals.
One of the most popular and heartfelt episodes was none other than Code of Hero.
Spoilers, of course. Megatron realizes he can use the Golden Disk's information to change the future because, as you guessed it, they had time traveled to prehistoric Earth. Dinobot alone, outmanned and outgunned, would take on every single Predacon in order to save the valley they were attacking. Despite being badly injured near death, he even bests Megatron with a makeshift hammer. Unfortunately, Dinobot would succumb to his wounds with a Transformer's death that even rivals the death of Optimus Prime.
The first one, of course.
Beast Wars is also responsible for either coining or enhancing many terms that are used in Transformers even today, and some are even retconned back into G1 as well. In the G1 cartoon episode Divide and Conquer, Optimus Prime is badly injured. Made worse by Laserbeak, Megatron asks if his laser core was extinguished.
Oh, yes. But can you guarantee his laser core was extinguished?
In the early scripts for Transformers the movie, the gravely injured Megatron would tell the other Decepticons to place his life spark in the crypt before it's lost. This would also explain where the UK comic mixed up the identity of who became Cyclonus. Beast Wars dropped life from the name, shortening it to Spark, and gave it a physical form. They also introduced protoforms, basically an early stage of the Transformers life cycle. Season 3 would bring many changes as the Maximals are forced to defend the Ark, the original ship that brought the Autobots and Decepticons to Earth, from Megatron so that he would not destroy the timeline. Optimus Primal even housed the original Optimus Prime Spark in his body, giving him a new and upgraded form as Optimal Optimus.
We'd have 4 million years to clean you off the walls, Megatron. I might risk it.
Megatron would later do the same with Megatron's original Spark, giving him an alternate form of a large red dragon.
But beware, the dragon's wrath!
Other characters, such as Rampage, Depth Charge, a twisted clone of Dinobot, and even Tigerhawk, were welcome additions to the cast as well.
Once been eaten, I like no lizard bug.
I agree with the bug. But then, I'm not crazy about any of you.
At the end of the show, the Maximals would defeat Megatron and would leave Earth to return to Cybertron in their own time. This would lead to the sequel series, Beast Machines, which in and of itself was a polarizing show and is a discussion for another day. For all it's worth, Beast Wars remains a staple in the Transformers franchise. Taking a risk with an incredibly different idea saved Transformers from becoming yet another series that struggles to see a revival to this day.
Not too shabby.
We may have returned to vehicles in the early 2000s, but many Beast Wars characters have made their appearance in different Transformers series. In celebration of Beast Wars' 25th anniversary, the main theme for the War for Cybertron trilogy's Kingdom toy line has been many familiar G1 characters meeting with Beast Wars characters. This will also be true in the animated series currently on Netflix.
In addition, some Beast Wars figures are also being reissued, and IDW Comics has begun publishing a Beast Wars comic book that tells the story in its own way. Despite the cartoon's dated animation, Beast Wars is certainly an enjoyable show.
Why Husbanator has a headache in his whole body.
Some may not like the idea of Transformers turning into anything other than vehicles, but I do recommend checking it out. Beast Wars was released on DVD, and as of this recording is still available to watch for free on Tubi.
Interesting.
The word is spot on smooth. It's a crime.
But what do you think? Were you a fan of Beast Wars, and do you have a favorite episode? Was it your introduction to Transformers? And what do you think of how it connects to G1? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
Stay close, Maximum. It's time to transform and roll out.